Hi, everybody. I am Larissa. I'm a soul guide, and I'm here to help you transform your life using your unique soul blueprint. Everyone has the ability to tap into their soul destiny and live the life you came here to experience. Okay, so we all came to life with certain ideas of how we want to grow and expand, and that's why we're here. Life can get difficult, but it's really important to learn the lessons of why it's difficult in order to move forward. Okay, so today is World Down Syndrome Day, so I'm wearing my Down syndrome shirt. I'm down for any challenge. 321. And 321, March 21st, represents Down Syndrome Day because people with Down syndrome, they have three copies of their 21st chromosome. So, one person with Down syndrome that I love very much is my daughter. So, my daughter was born in 2012, and I don't, for anyone who knows or remembers, we all thought, or many people thought, that the world was going to end in 2012. But then, when it didn't end on December 21st, then people started saying, oh, it's the end of life as we know it. And I just want to say that was completely true for me. My life was never the same after December of 2012. So my daughter, well, first, I want to take us back a little bit. Okay, hold on. Let me just make sure everything is playing. It looks good on my end, but let me just double check the sound. Can you hear me here? Okay, cool. That looks good. Let me double check YouTube. So if you're here with me, leave a like, say hi. Right now, I'm just making sure everything is as it should be. Oh, it says I'm live. All right, that's cool. Yeah, there we go. All right, cool. So let me close that. Okay. So first, I want to back up a little bit and say like how all this started. When I was okay. First, one thing at a time. Again, today is 321, right? In 2012, I made a New Year's resolution. So when 2011 was ending, my New Year's resolution was to quit cigarettes. Okay, I've told this story. I told this in college, but here I am telling you guys because that decision I think really changed my life. Um, so in January, I'm trying to quit cigarettes and I couldn't. I was having a really hard time. And finally, after smoking, not smoking, smoking, not smoking, like riding the seesaw, on March 21st, I wrote it in my calendar. It was officially my last day smoking and my first day. It was, no, the 20th was my last day smoking. The 21st, I was like, okay, I'm really ready. I don't want to smoke anymore. I don't want to, because I was also like starting to cough, starting to get sick. And, the money, like it's so expensive. I was living in New York. Cigarettes are expensive in New York. So I made that resolution in 2012 and I didn't stop until 321, until 321. And what's really funny is, okay, so I ended up getting pregnant like a few months later, because I guess my body got clean after you stop cigarettes, and it's like, okay, let's work properly. I ended up getting pregnant a few months later. It was a really, really bad pregnancy. I had preeclampsia. I was in and out of the hospital, like having to stay there. They were giving me like magnesium and things to like, not have like a super premature baby. And I was like passing out a lot, because of the high blood pressure. So it was a really weird, I wouldn't say it was weird. It was, it was a really hard time physically, but also at the same time, it was a really romantic time in my life. Like I remember like I just feel like I wonder if it's the preeclampsia, but I felt like there was this like romantic haze that just lived over life and I was just seeing things differently and everything felt so romantic, like I don't know what that is, but part of me thinks it was just, because my daughter was with me and like in my body I could already feel this like connection to her of like just this deep 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 soul love for this kid, and I think my body was feeling it and I had this haze like even when I felt really sick. I remember one time I was living in New York, so I was walking through Harlem and I always wanted cherries, like that was my thing. So I'd go to 125th Street where they had the carts and I'd go get some cherries. And one day I was walking with my baby dad, and he was like upset at me. He was like walking like away from me. And I had gotten the cherries and I'm walking and one of those spells where, I was getting dizzy kind of hit and I had to like just crouch down where I was because I'm like, okay, I don't want to faint, so I just want to like, sit down, put my head down a little. And it's just in that moment, like when I got really dizzy, like, it's like your heart kind of does some weird stuff. And then I'm getting dizzy. But when I opened my eyes, it was the same thing, like this beautiful haze of like people walking in the street and the sky. And it's like, wow, like life is so beautiful. It's like I got really sick and I crouched down and I'm like, please God, don't let me, pass out here on 125th all alone. Um, but there was also this duality of like, wow, this is beautiful, the street is beautiful, New York is beautiful, the people, the sky, everything is so beautiful. And I remember that memory like so vividly. Anyways, um so that's when I was pregnant. That was a really rough time. And again, I kept on going to the hospital, and finally she was born prematurely at 32 weeks, and on December 1st. So she was born 1201 12012. No, that's all right. 1201 2012. 2012, right? 12. It's all ones, twos, and zeros. So she has a really nice birthday. But anyways, when she was born really premature. So I ended up going home and they had to keep her. And that day, the day that I left the hospital, completely changed my life. Like while I was pregnant, while I was sick, it's like you can't think about like the future because you can't even, I couldn't keep my brain intact. Like everything's romantic and I'm getting really spacey and I'm feeling really sick and I'm fainting and you can't really plan for anything. It's just like you're in the moment going with the flow. But that day where I left her in the hospital and came home, I came home to just this really chaotic situation where first I'm calling my mom and my dad and no one is picking me up. No one's picking up the phone for me. I think at some point my dad did pick up and he told me, oh, things are crazy here. Just stay in the hospital. Like we have a choice. I can tell the doctor, don't discharge me. Crazy, crazy. Anyways, um, my sister came to visit. So, like, luckily, my sister came to visit. So she actually, brought me home. Thank God, thank God, thank God for that because nobody else was coming. Um, Damn, that still hurts my heart to this day. Some crazy shit. Then when I got home, I had two dogs and two little dogs, and there it was just the hugest mess. Like we had a gate for the hallway, so the dogs couldn't come into the the dining room, living room, right, the front of the house. So they can only stay like back in the bathrooms and the bedrooms, bathroom and the bedrooms, and the gate was completely broken. All right. So my dad kicked that gate and broke it. Okay. So it was just two pieces of a gate. And then because I guess he had kicked it, all their food and water was just all over that hallway. And no one had cleaned up after the dogs. So not only was this gate broken on the floor, there's dog food and water all over the floor. There was also just pee and poop all over, all over. And I had just had a C-section. It's just, a few days later. So I'm not supposed to do stairs. I'm not supposed to bend over. But it's like, when you walk into a mess like that, like, how do you even sleep? So immediately, I pick up the pieces of the gate and I'm like trying to put it back together. And this whole time, I just want to say, this whole entire time, no one came out like to say hi to me. So this whole time that I put the gate together, that I cleaned the hallway, first I swept up all the food and the poop and stuff, and in my room too, because it was like it went from the hallway into my room. So I swept up all of the dog food and all the poop. And then I got I made a bleach bucket. And here I am. My stomach is burning, just burning. Like, please, Larissa, you just had surgery. Lay down. And I'm like, I can't. Like, I have to clean this. So now I start mopping. I have the bleach out and I'm mopping the hallway, mopping my room, and I had to change the water a couple times because it was so disgusting, like it was so dirty. And I was gone I had a C-section and I was there for 5 days because then I had like a complication. Like I popped one of the thingies and I had to stay, whatever. But so I changed the water a couple times, and then finally the last time I changed the water, I remember my mom came out of the room and she said, "Oh, I didn't know you were coming today." Like after I already spent all that time cleaning, people heard me. Like I'm fixing a gate, I'm moving things around, and the dogs, of course, like the dogs are barking because they see me, right? So that whole time, no one said anything, and I remember I didn't even reply to her. I just closed my bedroom door and I sat on the bed and I just completely broke down. And I'm like, this is a horrible life, and when I left the hospital without my daughter, I was really sad that I was leaving her. And after I came home and had to clean up all that stuff, I remember I was sitting on the bed saying, thank God she did not come here. Thank God she's still in the hospital because nobody deserves this. Nobody deserves to live like this. Like, why did I even have a kid to bring into this? Like no one deserves this. And I just broke down. Like, this is horrible. This is a horrible life that I brought like a kid into. And I felt so guilty and so bad. Like, I felt so bad. So then I took out, I don't know like how or why, but I had a, what is this called? I had a journal, like just a book, and it was like around me. So I just grabbed it and I started writing in it. I had this poem in my head, and I wrote it down. And it was just that because I really missed her also, and I felt bad like that I couldn't be with her. So I was sitting there and I could feel like I'm closing my eyes and I could feel like I was like with her. Like I can put my mind on her and feel like I could feel like if she was asleep and her eyes were closed, I could feel if she was awake and I could see what she was seeing, like in my mind. So I don't know. But also, I remember before I left the hospital, I was crying, obviously. Like that was just a crazy couple days for me. But I remember putting my hand on her and praying to God that everything that we are connected. I remember that. I put my hand like on her and just praying like we are connected and I will always see what she sees. I will feel what she feels. And I just kept saying it over and over with my hand on her and really believing like in my heart, like we are connected. And if there's anything that ever happens to this kid, I'm going to know it because I'm going to see it or feel it. And I'm not going to hear about it from another person. I'm going to know it and experience it for myself, like whatever this girl goes through. Um, so that I kind of feel like that was like part of it, or, maybe when I left, I could still, was I holding on to that? I don't know. But anyways, okay. So that day, right, I'm sitting on the bed and I'm crying my face off and, I got my journal and I started writing and I wrote out a 5-year plan because I'm like, this is not like a normal life. My kid doesn't deserve this. How can I give a kid a respectable life? And I wrote out a 5-year plan. My 5-year plan was to go back to school because I didn't finish school. I kept going like part time and working. So I was like, okay, finish my bachelor's, become a teacher, get my master's. Um, what was the other thing? Get my master's, be a teacher. One of the things on it was my driver's license. So I mean, damn. But anyways, in 5 years, it was also like fix my credit, and I did everything except for the driver's license. I didn't do that. Okay, let me be honest with you guys. But I did all that stuff. I did get 2 bachelor's degrees. I got my master's degree. I became a teacher and I started teaching within 5 years. I fixed my credit. I had good credit, and we moved. It took 5 years to get my life together. 5 years. And in that 5th year, I got pregnant with my second daughter. So anyways. But now here I am. Okay. But I just wanted to say that every time, so the change of my whole life, right, started with me getting pregnant and then that day of coming home and realizing like no one deserves to live like this. And I made my 5-year plan and I was completely focused on, okay, you have to go to school, you have to do your work. And I got like, once I went back to school, I didn't go back right away. Mary had like, my daughter's name is Marilyn, but we call her Mary. She had like all these, surgeries and therapies and school, blah blah blah. So it took me about a year and a half to get back to school, and then I was going to school at night, and she had her therapies in school during the day, and sometimes I would bring her to school with me. So like for my bachelor's, so people in school also knew her. I didn't have really anything so reliable during that time. Um, she just lived with me. Like I feel like we were just like some bonded little couple, and during the day we did all her things, and during the night we would do my things. And it was, she was like the best, 1,000% the best companion ever, the best. And that's it. So I stayed completely focused because I knew that she deserved it, and I changed my life. After the 5 years, I got pregnant again, and we were living on our own for a little bit. And when I got pregnant again, um, I ended up, God, that's a whole nother story. So, anyways, um, but long story short, I ended up moving back in right before my second daughter was born, back in with my parents. And then 2020, sometime passed 2020, and then I really changed my life after that. But my point is, my daughter really changed my life, and she gave me a focus that I never had before. Like in life, um, so just like I said, right? When she was born, I had to go back and get my bachelor's, and she was born when I was 25. I had just turned 25, and then she was born. So think about that. Like from 17, I left school. So from 17 to 24, 25, I was just, taking, taking a full semester, and then, what is that, withdrawing, or taking a partial, like a half semester. Um, and I just wasn't fully committed to anything. I was just kind of floating around. I was very unhappy, and I didn't have any um motivation to do anything. Like I just kind of did whatever I wanted and just really didn't care about anything. And then when I had her, it's like all of a sudden there's something to care about, and there is the motivation to get my life together. And I did. So Mary completely changed my life, and she is the love of my life, and I love her so much. And from that, I just continued to change and change. So again, once I did that 5-year plan, I was still teaching, blah, blah, blah. And then I continued to change my life. But then, in 2020, my whole life fell apart again. So it's like, this is, the next part of it is because of her, right? I realized my life wasn't like a really good life for a kid, but um, I was still just following the motions. You know what I mean? Like, I knew that being a teacher is a very stable job that you can just do anywhere, right? So I knew that, okay, if I get my bachelor's, get my master's, become a teacher, I can teach in New York. I can go somewhere else and teach there. Like, it's just like a good job, like a stable job to have. So I was a teacher, even though when I started teaching, I really didn't like it. And it's not because of teaching. Like I like teaching. I like being around like students. I taught all grades, K through 12, teaching English. And but it's just like the institutions. Like I don't like schools, and I don't like, like how schools are really for money. You know what I mean? Like it's really, a school is a business. A school is a business, and they want all of their, I just can't. That's a whole nother conversation also. But I hated working in schools, and I didn't like my coworkers because they were, okay, again, let me stop. These are whole different conversations, but um so I really didn't like it. And I was making, pretty decent money, but I was living in New York, so the money was going. And also I had crazy spending habits. Like I was buying, crazy stuff and stuff, spending good money. So So after I fixed my credit and we got our own place, then I went crazy buying everything for the new place. And then we ended up leaving that new place. And then I just had like all this debt and a new baby. And for that was 2018, and then in 2020 the pandemic. So when the pandemic happened, right, my partner, we were like, between 2018 2020, we were no to be honest, between 2012 and 2020, we were in this weird limbo space, um of this like give and take kind of, disappear, be around, whatever. And finally, in 2020, when he left me, um, hi, I see you in here. Finally, so anyways, in 2020, he finally left me. And that's when I realized that even though I had done all these things, because I wanted my daughter to have a stable life, I thought, okay, I'll be a teacher. And then, I got really into like advocating. Like, even though I did all these things, I still wasn't happy. I still hadn't healed myself. I was just doing things to be a provider. Okay, so I was really leaning into that divine masculine, like, okay, go do it, go do it, action, action. But I had never tapped into myself in those years between 2012 and 2020, even though I had developed professionally. Like, I have a great resume, I have degrees, and, I've led people and teachers, and I've worked with districts, and, I have a great resume, and I did a lot of professional things. And I was very, very involved in my kids, in her schooling. But I was not happy. I did not, in any of that time, fix what was wrong with me. So in 2020, when my life was finally clear to me, like, okay, here I am again, have a new baby, living back with my parents. Like, it's like all of a sudden life went backwards. And it's like, okay, what is the problem here? Like, how did this happen? If I was living on my own, if I have a good job, like, what's happening? And I realized, part of it obviously was my connection to the father of my kids, right? Because he was one foot in, one foot out, just like I was. Like, I'm not blaming him at all. I was the same exact way, very, very hot and cold. Um, but it's like, if I could have just let that go, I could have further developed myself. But I couldn't let that go because I still hadn't healed that part of me where I was just so like attached to like the abandonment. You know what I mean? Like, it's like this, I can't even describe it. There's like a push and pull that comes with pushing someone away, but then ripping them back when they're like, I'm leaving. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's the dynamic that we had, that I would push him away and he'd be like, no, no. And then he'd be like, finally, like, you know what? I'm done. I can't do this. And then I'd be like, wait, wait, no, no. And we just flip over and over, flip, flip, flip. Um, so I realized, okay, Larissa, you have some serious like trauma, to heal. And in 2020, that's when I did my inner work. And that's when I started to really, okay, I'm not a provider. I'm a human being, like I matter too. And that was the part that was missing in that whole time where I had my daughter, where I wasn't just doing things so she could have a good life that, I didn't really have. She could have the stability and like, like I guess stability is what I'm looking for. That evenness that comes with knowing, like, you're gonna have like another meal and you have like a mom. I don't know. Um, but then in 2020, I did the inner work, and that is what propelled me to a big change. So from 2020, I took 1 year. So I did one more school year. And in that year, I really worked on connecting to my mind, understanding my habits. Journaling was the hugest thing. Still have all my journals, connecting to my mind, connecting to my habits, my mindsets. Like, how did I create this life? Why did I create this life? Why do I do this or do that? When you get triggered, when you get upset, why does that affect me? Why does this matter to me? And really digging into who I was and my reactions to understand myself. Because I felt like I didn't understand who I was when I found myself back with my parents, you know, in Harlem. And then I was also like, browsing TikTok, and I started getting really connected to the spiritual world. Like I was hearing about angels, so I started looking up angel videos. I really got into astrology, and I was looking up all these different charts and signs and aspects, and I was learning so much about that. And then, relocation astrology and synastry, like all the different stuff. And I started getting really excited by what I was seeing. And then connecting to, angels, ascended masters, my spirit team, my higher self. Like it's crazy to think, you can sit down and just connect to your soul and get like answers that make sense. Connecting to the akashic records, that's another layer that changed my life. Being able to go into the akashic records and say like, this is what I'm struggling with, why is that? And then for you to get an answer that resonates on a soul level, like, okay, Larissa, your father is in your life to teach you this lesson, but because you haven't learned this lesson, you're getting it again through this other guy, through the father of your kids. And you have to learn the lesson. You have to accept it. Um, and then once I got really deep, like on the spiritual stuff, I was getting guidance that I have to be more physical. But at this time, I was already like exercising, and I decided to really follow my interests, right? So I started doing exercises that I enjoyed. I started doing pole fitness, belly dancing, burlesque dancing, boxing. I loved boxing. And so it was the three of those things that came together that finally I felt good and secure in myself. And that's a big part of it. I found that inner trust that when I said I'm moving, I am leaving New York, everyone in my family was like, Larissa, what are you doing? Like, your kids are like brown, like you're going to move out of New York. New York City is so tolerant of people of color. They are. Wow. But anyways, um, but anyways, every time I got someone saying like, you're a single mom, you can't do that, or do you know that you're like a person of color? Why would you do that? I was just so solid in my self-trust because I had done the work to connect to my mind, my soul, and my body. I knew it was right for me. I just knew it. And there was nothing anyone could tell me that was going to change that. So that was 2020 August. In August of 2021, I moved to Wisconsin. I live in a very small city. I live in a dead end street by a lake, and it's beautiful. I live in a house with my two girls. So I'm still a single mom. I work from home now, so I don't have to go to school, and be miserable with miserable coworkers and rules and stuff like that. And I'm really happy and I'm free. I'm free to continue to explore who I am on an even deeper level, because the learning of who you are is not like a year and then, oh, okay, I know who I am now. No, it's like, like everyone says, it's like the onion layers. You just keep on going deeper and deeper. And this is a huge onion, by the way, that never ends. Okay. There is no inner core to this onion. Like you will, till the day you die, you will discover more and more and more and more incredibly powerful parts of you that are ready to be expressed. They can only be expressed in the right time. So, based on what I did, that is how I created my Soul Destiny course. And my Soul Destiny course is all about connecting to your mind. So there's journaling on your habits, your mindsets, and just looking clearly at everything in your life and how you feel about it. So what areas of your life are you most unhappy in? How did you create that for yourself? And you have to understand that we are the master creators. We allow things to happen. We bring things to us that develop, I'm not clear on why you allowed certain things to develop, then you're not going to change your life. You have to get really clear on what's happening in your life and how you have a hand in what's happening in your life. Okay. And then after that, the next part of my Soul Destiny course is spirit. So in the Akashic Records, we do a soul attunement. So you tune into the energy of your soul. And like I said, like in my own journey, like tuning into my soul, like really blew my mind, because in life, like in general, I'm really extremely quiet, like, I mean, probably not now. but maybe probably now also. But I'm very, very quiet. I'm very observant and I don't talk very much. But when I connected to my soul, it was just this super like expansive and really big, like this huge, like it's like I was looking up to this powerful light and I was just like kind of scared, like that's me, like I feel like a little puppy, like looking at mama dog, like that's me. Wow, that's scary, like it's like there is a part of you that is so much more powerful and expansive that's ready to be expressed, but you won't know it until you just tune into that energy. So the first part of spirit is the soul attunement, just tuning into the energy of your soul, just knowing what's there behind this veil of all of your trauma and your habits, just feeling who you are and getting a feel for it. And then after that, we do a soul destiny meditation. So you tap into the energy of your destiny. What are your next steps? So again, in my own journey, when I started doing all this spiritual stuff, the Akashic Records was one of the last things that I did. And I was led there, and then like spirit was telling me like to work out, and they were like, you have to have your practice, your daily practice. And I would start doing yoga with the window open and I would start visualizing. So it's like all of these things go hand in hand. Like if you want to transform your life, the mind part, the spirit part, the body part, they all come together. And if there's one, so imagining like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. I'm not throwing up any, Illuminati signs. But if you think about, like a pyramid, the 3 points in mind, body, spirit, if one of those points is kind of fragile, then it's going to topple over. Like there's no structure, there's no support. You have to get clear on your mind and your connection to spirit and your body. And if there's one of those that is a little wonky, that's something we can go into in the course. So for example, if you don't feel so self-confident tuning into spirit, that's something that we can address, going back to the mind stuff, right? Or even to the body stuff, because your body is, again, okay, one step backwards or forwards, whatever. So mind, spirit, and then body. For your body, I have a body scan practice that helps you to tune into the energy of your body. And this is what I received. So this year, there's a big push for a physical connection. And a physical connection is also what connects us to the divine feminine. I said this already, I'll say this really quick. Divine feminine is not like a certain look or a certain being. Like you don't have to wear pink or anything flowy. Divine feminine just means your expression as a feminine being. And that can be whatever you like. However, whatever makes you feel powerful is your version of divine feminine. Okay. So I'm not talking, because I'm just saying that because every time I used to hear divine feminine, I'm like, yeah, but that's not really me. I don't really want to wear dresses and pink. I don't like pink. All right. So don't think about that. That's not what I'm saying. It's about your expression in like the receiving, in the softness of who you are, in your vulnerability, in your ability, again, to just receive and be in the flow of life. And that divine masculine, it's not a bad thing. We need both sides. So, like I was saying, with my daughter's story, I was living a divine masculine life. I was her supporter and the provider. And I had to get really clear on the structure, on the routine, on the next steps, on my actions, because I had to be a teacher. I had to provide for her. I had to, make sure I had all these things in order. So I was living in that beginning part of her life from a very masculine, action oriented structure point of view. And then when I got there, there was no feminine energy to support that. I was still looking for things to do. I was still moving forward and I still hadn't healed. I still hadn't connected to who I was until, things further fell apart. So when you connect to your body, when you connect to your body, and this is another quick thing. Oh my gosh, I have to get off pretty soon. When you connect to your body, just know that your body is part of God, right? Because your body is made up of all of the same. Hold on, bananas. Okay, 2 more minutes. Okay. Okay, I'm almost done. In the body part, your body is connected to God because it is made out of all the same atoms and molecules that everything else is made out of. Like we're all made of the same things. And so if you think of like our souls are one, like all of our souls are one, we are like anything you talk to, that's another facet of you. That's how I see it. So if I'm talking to an archangel, if I'm talking to Mother Mary, if I'm talking to my higher self, these are all facets of me. These are different parts of me that want me to be more aware of these certain energies that I embody, but that I'm not really fully aware of and want to be like awakened. But when you think of your body and how physically we're all made of the same things, our body is the reminder that we are all one. We are all connected. We are all one. And this knowledge, this wisdom is universal. So as you do body practices, so in my Soul Destiny course, one of the practices is a body scan practice. So you get to really like tap into your body. And then once you do the practice, it leads you throughout the day. So when you're on autopilot, it'll like give you like advice on what to do or how to be, things like that. Like one of the things, I'll just share this really quick, that it said to me is, how come when you sit down, you just kind of like plop down? Like, how come you can't like sit more gently? I was like, what? Like, I didn't know that I plopped down. I didn't even know that. So the body scan practice is incredible because it directly connects you to your body. Within the next days of doing it, so you have to keep doing it, obviously. But it really changes your awareness of your body. Okay. And then I also have a meditation to like invigorate your solar plexus and your heart. So once you know, like the second part is once you know your soul destiny, you still might feel like timid or unsure. But this meditation is really giving you that oomph that you need to follow your desires. So, like, even for me, like I said, when I felt the call to do like the sexier exercises, I was really nervous about it. I'm like, oh, do I want to do pole dancing? Like, do I want to do boxing and jump around? I don't know. So I had to, keep on connecting with my spirit, and then they would say like, Larissa, you have to do this. This is the next step. So that's part of it. Like receiving when you fall, when you try to fall back into your mindset, is getting the boost that you need from your physical body and from spirit to keep going. Okay. And early bird bonus for the Soul Destiny course closes tomorrow. And again, I'm doing this course because I think it's time for all women to really embody who they are, so we can change our lives. And we have all, I guess not all, I don't know, but many of us, especially as moms, especially as single moms, we really rely heavily on this divine masculine, and we suppress who we are. We suppress our feelings, our emotions, and we can't grow if we're not tapped into who we are. We can't if we're not aware of our mind, if we don't connect to spirit. Like, we are made to connect to spirit. That is part of the duality of being human, is knowing that you have a soul, that there's other, energies that support you at all times, energies that you can call on. And it's not like divine masculine where you just, have to use your mind and like, okay, how do I figure out the next step? How do I do this? It's like, the puzzle, like jamming the puzzle pieces in. It's also about that we are divine feminine. We can lean back and we can meditate and we can join that flow of life and let the answers come to us. And that's, part of the beauty of being who we are. And I would really, really like to support other women into finding that beauty, because I had to find it. I found my own way. And I know that this course works because this is what I did for myself. After, all these years of being miserable and really pushing to be a provider and ignoring my own feelings, I finally, broke down, and I had to look inside. I had to really look at my mind, really look at how I was living, and everything I did just jumped me to the next part. And like I said, now, I live I'm going on 4 years now living in Wisconsin. I'm on a dead end street by a lake in a house with my 2 daughters, and I don't get any child support. Their dad has only been here 2 times. He came in the beginning, and it's just us for the most part, and life is really beautiful. It's peaceful and it's calm, and I really want to share this power with other women. Like, you can live like this too. If you have kids, you can live a flowy, easy life. And not that it's easy. I mean, is any life easy? You know what I mean? We're always going to encounter like troubles and obstacles and blah blah blah. But once you tap into who you are, once you're in the flow of life, once you know that there's also spirit supporting you, you don't have to figure out like what the puzzle pieces all the time. It really changes how you live life. So I'm really excited. I really need to blow my nose. The early bird bonus is only open for one more day. So if you want to join, check out the link in my bio, souldestinyguide.com. We start April 4th. So early bird will close tomorrow, but there's still one more week that you can enroll. Again, we start April 4th. This is a 4-week course with 7 live sessions. You'll have lifetime access. I have a Dropbox and a Facebook group, so you can join either one or both, whatever, for the lifetime access to the recordings. And I'm so excited to get started and to share this knowledge and to really watch other women bloom and really, find themselves and transform their lives through who they are. Like, not through what I'm telling you, but how you discover yourself. That's going to be the most beautiful part of the journey. So anyways, let me go make my daughter some food. I love you guys so much. If you have any questions or comments, you can drop it below. Oh, sorry. I'm just looking at Instagram. I see you, Destiny. All right. Destiny, I'm going to reach out to you in a couple days. Okay. um, okay, cool. All right. But I love you guys so much, and enjoy the rest of your day. Today, again, is 321 World Down Syndrome Day. Today, for the rest of the day, I'm going to just, jump off the computer and celebrate my daughter. And I love you guys so much. Enjoy your day. Bye.